Every generation evolves with different events, discoveries, and challenges, and each gets its own name.
There's really not a systematic process for it. Different names are suggested, and then they will catch on.
Dr. Jean Twenge, a psychology professor at San Diego State University, writes books about generations.
So I start my book, Generations, with the silent generation. So they were born 1925 to 1945.
Now over 80, this group started families and careers when they were young in a post-war era. They appeared conventional and quiet, but Dr. Twenge says their leaders weren't silent at all.
A lot of the changes wrought by the civil rights movement and the feminist movement were actually started by the silent generation. Martin Luther King Jr., Ruth Bader Ginsburg are both silent generation.
Born from 1946 to 1964, a birth spike after World War II led to the baby boomers. They are now in their 60s and 70s.
Although the silent generation started a lot of the changes around race and gender, boomers were the ones who really lived those changes.
Gen X came next.
Nobody really knew what to call the next generation. That happens to be my own of Gen X, because we were kind of an unknown quantity. But that started this idea of let's use letters for generations.
Born between 1965 and 1979, Gen X are now in their 40s and 50s. The name Gen Y didn't stick for those born from 1980 to 94, but since they became adults at the start of the millennium, the name Millennials made more sense.
They became known for being the young adults who really got the short end of the stick during the Great Recession because many were graduating from college during that time.
They are now in their 30s to mid-40s.
Their median incomes are actually at all-time highs because so many of them went to college.
Gen Z, born between 1995 and 2012, are now in their teens and 20s.
So I call them iGen. A lot of people call them Gen Z. And they're the first generation to have spent their entire adolescence in the age of the smartphone.
And many call the newest generation, born between 2013 and 2029, Gen Alpha.
I'm not a big fan of the letters. I like the labels that are more descriptive. So I call that youngest generation the polars, after melting polar ice caps and political polarization.
Dr. Twenge says we should give each generation grace for the different challenges we face.
I think we should look at generational differences as an opportunity to understand each other better. It's really about empathy. It's about understanding someone else's point of view.